Okay guys, here we go, back to our videos. Today, our video is going to be on percents and proportions. Okay, percents and proportions. Let me make this a little bit bigger real quick. Alright, there we go. Alright, percents and proportions is what we're going to be on today. And here's the deal, guys. Proportion, remember, is a comparison of two ratios, which we just got done going over. And so when you set up your proportion problems with percents, this is going to be the basis of how we're going to set them up. Now, one thing you're going to find, some of you are going to say, I can do it a different way. And there are other ways of solving them. But again, we are working on proportions with this beginning stuff. So make sure that in these first couple examples, or tonight's homework, tomorrow, we work on proportions, okay? Here's how you're going to work with proportions. We're going over what we have here is P is going to stand for proportion, or percent, excuse me. So that's percent over 100, because remember, percent is out of 100. So that's percent over 100 equals the part over the base. Okay, now it is possible to have a percent over 100, which means your part would be bigger than your base. So it is possible to have a base part that is bigger than your base. Okay, but this right here, this proportion right here, is going to be our general format for how we're going to find out and set up our proportions. And hopefully remember how to solve those, and I'll go over that again today. Okay, we're going to move on. First example is modeling. Alright, in my class I had 14 of the 35 students receive an A. What percent received an A in my class? Now this is modeling, so I'm going to show you how to model using a bar. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a bar. Okay, and on the right side I'm going to do my percents. So we're going to have 0% and 100% here at the bottom. Okay, and my numbers somewhere fit on there. Now on the left side I'm going to use my actual numbers. So I have 35 students. That represents all of my students, the whole amount of my students, the base amount of my students. So that's going to be here next to my 35. Now if I had 0 students in my class, that would match my 0%. So I go from 0 to 35. Those are the amount of students that I have. Okay, where does 14 fall? Well, I'm just going to model where 14 would fall, and that would fall somewhere probably around right here. Okay, a little bit less than half, and that would be 14. On this other side is going to be my X percent. So you notice I have a number across from each one. I always have zeros, and then I have 100%. Okay, so these three are always going to be there. Okay, it's the other numbers that we're going to take from the problem. Now I can see where my numbers are, where my percent is, and how my percent, okay, that I'm looking for is lining up with the 14. That's what I have. That's my percentage is lined up with its part. Okay, if I go back up here, percent is across from part. Okay, and then down here, my base and my 100% are across from each other. Okay, so that's just how you quickly draw a model to represent your data to find out where they are. Okay, now in the next example, I'm actually going to solve it. So I'm going to switch to my next page. Alright guys, in my first page here, we're going to find the percent. Same problem. In my class, I had 14 of my 35 students receive an A. What percent? Okay, so I'm going to follow that same format. It's percent over 100. I'm asking what percent. So I don't know what that is. That's my variable. X over 100 equals my base. Okay, if I think back to the other page there, my base was my 14. I'm sorry, my base was my 35. Okay, my base is my whole amount. That was my 35. That was across from my 100. My part that it got it, the part that I have, the part I'm looking for, is my 14. So my percent and my part are across from each other, and then my 100 and my base are across from each other. Now I use proportions to solve this. So remember to do that, we do cross product. Okay, so I do the x times the 35, so that's 35x. This is the work you have to show again. 14 times 100 is 1400. So remember, I multiply my cross numbers, 35 times x and 14 times 100. Then I solve the one-step equation by dividing both sides by the coefficient in front of my variable. That's the number in front. Divide both sides by 35. That is my work. And when I typed in my calculator and I get 40 is my answer. So what percent? So that's 40%. 40% of my students received an A on that test. Okay? Whatever test I'm talking about. Alright, I'm going to go on to my next example. In example 3, finding a part of a base. Will wants to get a 90% in science. You guys might have these where you want to get certain percents. You need to know what you want to do. If there are 60 points on the test, how many does he need to get correct to at least get a 90%? Okay, well, I'm going to set up the same way. Percent over 100. 90 over 100 equals, my part is what I'm looking for. What does he need to get? What part does he need to get? I don't know, so I'm going to use my variable x over 60, my base amount of points. That's how many points my test is worth. That is how much it is out of. Now I do this by cross product. So 100 times x is 100x equals 90 times 60. Well, 9 times 6 is 54. Put on the 2 zeros, 5400. Divide both sides by 100. And you get x equals 54. So what does that mean? He needs to get 54 points correct to get at least a 90%. Okay, so 54 points is what he needs to get. Okay, again, we're using proportions to solve these. Okay, and that's how you find the part. All right, I'm going to go on to my next page. All right, my last example, finding a base. A student can earn 120 points on their school project. Okay, this represents 15% of their grade. Okay, how many points is used for the total grade? Well, 120 points isn't all of the points in the class. That's just the one project. That's just part of all of their points. So again, I'm going to do percent over 100, 15 over 100, 15% equals 120 is only a part of all of the points in the class. That's one project, one part of them. Okay, the base amount is how many points my class is worth, and that I don't know. So that's going to be my x. Now I can do cross products again. Oh, there's the bell. Then I'm going to do cross products again, so I'm going to get 15x equals 12,000. Okay, 120, put on 2 zeros. Divide by 15, both sides by 15, and you are going to get, when you divide those, 800 is x equals. So what does that mean? That means my class, or this class, is worth 800 points total. Okay? And that is how you find them using proportions. Remember, you're using the same format for your proportions. Percent over 100 equals part over base. Okay? That's all I have for today. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.